We are covering the essential principles of value for the California real estate exam. These principles are the foundation of appraisal and market analysis questions, so understanding them is critical. Let's start with the principle of substitution, which states that a buyer will not pay more for a property than what it would cost to purchase a comparable substitute property. For example, if two nearly identical homes are for sale in the same neighborhood, a prudent buyer will choose the less expensive one. On the exam, you might see a question where you have to compare three similar properties with different prices. The principle of substitution dictates that the lowest priced property sets the upper limit of value for the others. Next is the principle of contribution. This principle states that the value of any improvement is not what it cost, but what it adds to the property's market value. An exam question might ask about the value added by a new swimming pool. If the pool cost $50,000 to install, but only adds $25,000 to the home's market value, its contribution is only $25,000. A common exam trap is to assume that cost equals value, but the principle of contribution makes it clear they are not the same. The principle of anticipation looks at the present worth of future benefits. A property's value is based on the expected income or other benefits it will produce in the future. For instance, if a new transit line is planned near a property, its value might increase today in anticipation of the future convenience. The exam will test this by presenting scenarios about future developments and asking how they affect a property's current value. Now let's discuss conformity. This principle holds that a property achieves its maximum value when it is similar in style, size, and quality to the surrounding properties. A brand new, oversized modern mansion in a neighborhood of older, smaller bungalows would be an example of nonconformity, and its value would likely be negatively impacted. This leads us to the principles of progression and regression. Progression states that the value of a lesser quality property is increased by being around better properties. Conversely, regression says the value of a superior property is brought down by being surrounded by lesser quality properties. An exam question might describe a small, modest home in a neighborhood of large, expensive homes and ask you to identify the principle of progression at play. The principle of highest and best use refers to the most profitable, legally permissible, and physically possible use of a property. An appraiser must consider this to determine a property's true value. For instance, a vacant lot in a bustling downtown area might have its highest and best use as a multi-story office building, not a single-family home. The exam will test your understanding by asking you to identify the highest and best use from a list of options based on zoning and other factors. Supply and demand is another fundamental principle. When the supply of homes is low and demand is high, prices increase. When supply is high and demand is low, prices fall. The principle of change acknowledges that real estate values are constantly changing due to economic, social, and governmental forces. Lastly, the principle of competition states that excess profits attract competition. For example, if a particular type of retail store is highly profitable in an area, other similar stores are likely to open nearby, which can eventually drive down profits for all. Here's a mnemonic to help you remember the key value principles. Susie can't anticipate conformity. People regress to the highest supply and demand. Changing competition. This silly sentence can help you recall substitution, contribution, anticipation, conformity, progression, regression, highest and best use, supply and demand, change, and competition during the exam. For free practice questions, AI-powered explanations, and more exam prep tools, visit openexamprep.com. That's openexamprep, all one word, .com.